There is no famine in Gaza. Yes, I know what they say, but here's the thing. According to the IPC, there are three criteria that need to be met in order to constitute famine. First, famine requires a death toll from outright starvation and malnutrition and related disease of more than 2 deaths per 10,000 people per day. In Gaza, the population is, say, 2.2 million. To meet that famine bar, you'd need around 160,000 deaths per year. According to the World Health Organization, there have been around 100 such deaths in Gaza this year as of July 29th. Double that number. Multiply it by 10. Hell, multiply it by 100 and you are still a world away from 160,000. There is no famine. Second, for child starvation and malnutrition, there are two rulers. WHZ, where you weigh the child, measure their height and compare to healthy kids of the same height, and the MUAC, a simple measuring tape around the upper arm to see if it's below a danger line. The IPC uses different red lines for each, 30% of the population for WHZ, 15% for the MUAC. In Gaza, the IPC used the MUAC. A report on 8th of August showed the full July sample of 15,749 children measured. The results showed unweighted and weighted global attributed malnutrition rates of 13.5% and 12.2% respectively, both below the famine threshold. But this didn't work for the IPC, so they chose to cherry-pick the data. They used 5 subsamples covering just 7,519 children. That delivered a weighted average of roughly 16%, just above the threshold, much better suited to the IPC's agenda. The IPC simply manipulated the data. The third element is 20% of families suffering from extreme food shortage. Now we've got two variables that matter here, the quantity of food, then the access and distribution of food. In the first 7 months in 2024, Gaza was receiving 3,004 calories per person per day, well in excess of the 2,100 calories the World Food Programme deems necessary. During the ceasefire, January to March 25, 477,000 tonnes of aid entered Gaza. 80% of it was food. By World Food Programme benchmarks, that's enough to feed the entire population of Gaza for 6 to 9 months. UNRWA and other NGOs have food just sitting there waiting, which for some reason isn't being distributed. To date, the GHF has distributed over 135 million meals. But get this, the IPC doesn't count GHF distributions as humanitarian assistance. Basically, the report ignores 135 million meals delivered directly to ordinary Gazans. Again, why is that? Food has also been airdropped by a dozen different countries, including Spain, who somehow decided to drop pork products into Gaza. But hey, no judgment. Israel says that in August, inflows alone translate to 4,400 calories per person per day. My point? Contrary to the lies and the propaganda, there is no shortage of food in Gaza. The problem is access and distribution. Back in May, the GHF began delivering food direct to ordinary Gazans, cutting Hamas totally out of the picture. Hamas desperately needs to control aid, so to sabotage the GHF, Hamas starts shooting and killing ordinary Gazans at the GHF sites. Of course, they blame Israel. No verifiable evidence, but the West laps it up. Yesterday, Hamas executed 3 men and 1 woman who dared to collect food from the GHF sites, accusing them of collaboration. But you didn't see that in your headlines, did you? Distribution is a disaster. UNRWA admits that a mere 8% of their trucks reach their intended destinations. That means 92% are hijacked. As we've said, the GHF is the only organisation that guarantees delivery direct to civilians. Yet while claiming famine, why would the UN and other NGOs reject cooperation with the one outfit getting food directly to the people? While UNRWA admits 92% of aid trucks go missing, why are they still insisting that Hamas continue to secure the aid trucks? Hamas is stealing and stockpiling aid, using it to control the population and as a main source of income. It is Hamas, not Israel, that is using hunger as a weapon against its own people. To their shame, the UN agencies and some NGOs are complicit. They also spread the false narratives and propaganda. Israel is accused of starving ordinary Gazans, all evidence to the contrary. Then famine is declared, and the Western media? Famine report, copy-paste. No questions, no investigation. Do the numbers make sense? What about the definitions? Does the claim meet the IPC's own criteria? Nothing. A betrayal of journalistic standards, zero integrity. Listen, no doubt there is tremendous suffering in Gaza. Yes, there is hunger. Some people are starving. There are desperate people. And we need to ensure that they receive aid and the food they need. By the way, the quickest and surest way is for Hamas to release all hostages and lay down arms. This nightmare would end immediately. Bottom line, it's time to demand international agencies stop playing politics with data and language in order to demonize Israel. In its report, the IPC simply manipulates data and ignores its own criteria. Remember, to qualify as famine, there would have to be around 160,000 deaths from starvation, malnutrition, and related disease in 1 year. So far this year, there have been around 100. Now, while every single death of innocents is a tragedy, there is no famine in Gaza.